Welcome to Marketing Live TV, where you can engage in real life marketing live on the show. Thanks for watching, and I just want to say if you like any part of the show, please feel free to subscribe on YouTube below or to connect with us on social media. So for today's video, I'm going to cover email marketing and email marketing design, and I'm going to cover off 10 key points to make sure that you get the best open rate and click-through rates on your email campaigns. So before I jump into that, I just want to say thanks again for watching, and we've got there's a couple of bits and pieces that I just wanted to cover off just before we get into the email marketing. We're actually launching in September, but this is a bit of a live test. So part of the reason why we're live testing and are actually doing it in a show, in a real life situation, is to make sure that we cover off how we are going to work. And there's a few things that are coming up with the show that were really exciting. So we've got some co-hosts coming on, got some partners that are going to be part of it, and I'm really excited. So just to make sure that you get the most out of it, I just wanted to let everyone know that this is a bit of a brief update just on how we're tracking into our launch in September. So while we're waiting for a few other people to join us, so thanks for watching, guys. Feel free to comment on any of the on the area that you can comment below. If you want any insights as we're working through, you want more information on any of those parts, I'll keep referring back to them, and basically bringing up those points. So let's jump into it. All right. So as we jump into what is Marketing Live TV, I just wanted to highlight why I've got some specific skills relating to this. I've worked for a number of companies that have had both national and international distribution, and email's been the main communication channel for all of those. It's one of the most efficient and the most effective, and it allows the most personalization, and I'll get into why that's important. So as we get into it, I will bring up a bit more information. So I just want to bring up our video. Sorry, I had this prepared, but it just dropped off for a second there. So here you see that on the right hand side you'll see the email that I've prepared. So this is one that we've done for Marketing Live TV, and again, this show is a bit of a test, so make sure that we get what we need to working and get it going. So the email that you see in front of you is one that I've developed for Marketing Live TV as part of our onboarding program. So this is an actual email that will be used, and it's part of why the concept of Marketing Live TV needs to be actual real life campaign development and real life interaction as we go. So as I mentioned, feel free to comment as we go, and I'm going to work through 10 topics, and those 10 topics are going to be in order of what I think is the highest priority, especially in this day and age. So the first before I jump into the design part, I just want to frame some information up about email, and before we go any further, I just wanted to say that there's you need to significantly spend some time and effort focusing on how you capture your data and how you capture customer information, where you store it, and who has access to it. So just going to I'm just going to talk a bit about the customer data and why it's important. With customer data and your email, and I know it's off topic, but if you don't get the right information in your database, and if you don't get the right information, you can't do a lot of the more advanced stuff. And these days, people just don't want something that's sent out to everybody. They want personal, they want specific. If someone gives you information, it's critical that you use it. They're giving up part of their information to you in a hope that you might use it. And let's take for an example a retail store, or even a retail brand. If you collect male and female data from your customers when they sign up, you shouldn't be serving the males' dresses and the females, men's runners. Like it's critically important that you get that right. So jump off my soapbox and back on topic. So let's move on to what I think is the most important element of email marketing in this day and age, and email design, and that is mobile optimization. So I'm going to bring this email back up. All right. So as you can see in this email, it's a single column email. So when we talk mobile optimization, we're talking emails that either change their state or change their size on a mobile device. And generally, mobile means the mobile that you talk on when you go out with you, not a tablet, because tablets in most cases serve the desktop version of an email. So mobile optimization, and I'll give you an insight that we've been working on recently, just monitoring how many people open their emails. It's now up to 72%. So if you're not designing with a mobile version in mind, then you're actually only designing it for 28% of the market. So make sure that you optimize your emails for mobile. Now, there's basically two types of doing this. There is a responsive email, which has one state that is as it is in the desktop, and then when the screen size or the basically, without getting into the technical side of it, it does a media call, and if that shows as a certain size, then it will change the elements of the email. The second type of mobile emails is what can be termed as adaptive or fluid or hybrid. And what they do is they're basically scalable emails. So the email that you see here, that we'll be working on here, it is one of those. it's an adaptive or fluid email. So basically what that means is as you view it in a mobile state, everything just moves and compresses, but it's been designed so that it's easily readable and easily clickable with your thumb or your finger on a mobile device. So that's my soapbox on mobile. It's critically important. Even if people don't action your emails on mobile, it's likely that the first time that they see it will be on their mobile. With more and more people getting their work emails on their mobile, as I said, that's why it's been priority number one for this show. So I won't go into how you do that. I'll leave that for another show, and I'll leave that for those that are technically capable. But just be aware that in whatever email platform it is that you're using, make sure that you choose, select, import, grab a template that is either mobile responsive or mobile adaptive, fluid or hybrid, however it's worded in whatever system you're using. So the second part of that, and it comes to the same element in that mobile importance, is choosing the email layout. So when you're choosing an email layout, there's a number of pretty designs, but when you strip it all back, it basically turns into whether the structure is a diamond. So the top is your logo. You have some wide piece of content that fills the whole width, and then it narrows to a point. And if I bring our email back up, so if we look at this, this is exactly what I'm talking about with that diamond shape. So up here you have the logo, and then you have this wide body of content, which is the width, creates the width, and then you have this lower button down here that funnels people's attention to that point. Now, there's pros and cons to all of these, so I'm not going to go into those. What I am going to go into is a number of other elements that you need to take into consideration, and those are that outside of that, there is a triangle layout where you might have two, a logo and a call to action at the top with your phone number, generally used for more retail orientated or e-commerce where they can call direct from the email, and then wide content and then narrowed to a single call to action. That's generally known as a triangle, and then there's your column structure. Now, pretty much all emails that I've seen will stick to either 1, 2 or 3 columns, and within that there might be different layouts or bits and pieces, but the general structure is 1, 2 or 3. Now in this example there's not one that I am going to provide here of that structure, but it won't take you long walking through your email inbox to just find one of those. So then the next, so moving on from that, so email structure, so diamond, logo, body, call to action, triangle, logo, call, phone, contact, call to action, content, and a primary call to action, and then column structures for newsletters. So full width, 1 column, 2 columns, 2 width, and then 3 columns. So generally shown with images and content and call to action for each one. So they're 1 and 2. 1 and 2 because they are the most critical to the interactive, and I suppose what I haven't highlighted is part number 2, the email layout, greatly affects the mobile layout. So if you have 3 columns, you need to make sure that on a mobile device they stack underneath each other. When you do that, you need to be aware that that multiplies your email length by 3. So if you create an email that on a desktop and it has 3 columns and it looks pretty, and you're trying to keep those 3 columns above the fold, so when they open it they see the header information, those 3 columns. When you open it on an email, and remember I said 72%, that stacks. So whatever is that 3rd column, if the one that stacks at the very bottom, the person will have to scroll all the way down to get to it. So just be mindful when using those column layouts. So hint, if you have to include a lot of information, then if people are going to open it on a desktop, then they're more likely to see more of it. Then use the 2 or 3 column layout. But if you structure, if you can narrow the purpose of the email down to one thing, then if you can bring it down to that 1 column layout and the 1 call to action, you'll be killing it in spades, because everyone will be funneled to do that one action. So just hints from experience. So moving on. So 1 and 2 are all about mobile layouts, design and structure. And I guess the purpose of that is making sure it's a good customer experience. So your customers get to see something that isn't broken and that is easier to navigate. So the experience trumps everything else. Then let's move to so once you've created the design, you've done all the bits you need to get everything working. So let's go back to our email and let's have a look at this. So we have our email. We've got a diamond layout here. It's diamond, and the purpose of this email is to get people that have subscribed from our website from a number of channels that they may have come via, and move them through to our YouTube channel where they can subscribe, so that they get the actual purpose of what Marketing Live TV is all about. So let's go a bit deeper on this. So sorry, I'm gonna jump back in and stop everything and go. The next 2 points relate to getting your customers to open your emails. So if they don't open your emails, you have nothing. They see it come into their inbox, they delete it, they don't even know that you have something that they might be interested in. So the third point is structuring your subject line. Now there's a number of different tools and different there's a million internet articles on great email subject lines and how to structure them and that sort of thing. My key recommendations are: keep it short and deliver the most relevant, valuable piece of information in the subject line. So the subject line needs to be less than 70 characters, and keep it short and relevant. Make sure that what they see in the subject line is what they are going to see in the email, but make sure that it is the critical piece of information, or includes the critical pieces of information that they need to know, that will entice them to not only open but click through, and I'll talk about why in a moment. Then, which leads me to the second or the fourth point, and that is pre-header. So what I will do is I'll bring this email back up. Okay, so let's just look for a second at the code for this email. So what you see in the email is, the first thing you see is the logo, and that's linked through to our website. So so when you see the email, you see a lot of emails nowadays, and still even more, that don't have pre-header text, but you see a lot of emails, and the very first thing at the top will be some sort of description, as well as, view online here, add us to safe centers, and that sort of thing. That top very, very first content is what is pulled through in your preview when you're looking at an email. So when you open your email inbox, and I might just do that here so that we can provide an example, and make sure that I've got okay, so what I'm going to highlight here is, you see this email is the same email that we've sent to myself. Now the thing you'll see that it's come from Marketing Live TV, and I'm sorry that this is a bit zoomed in, but at the very top it says comes from Marketing Live TV. Now the subject line we have is, even a baby can learn from this. Now what the message is trying to say is that this is an educational thing that is simple, and that is there, that it should not be difficult. So I'm going to emojis in a minute, but then the thing that you see just underneath that subject line in the preview before, and this is the thing, is on a mobile device, and some emails, even before they've read the email, they still get to see the pre-header text. So it needs to be, what the pre-header text is in the body copy. It's the very first thing that is written. Here you can see it's about 120 characters. It will depend on the email client, what they're looking at, whether they've got one line or two, but the pre-header text is important. Now, how the reason why item 3 and 4 in this video are so important together is because the subject line gives them the shortest possible snapshot of what's in the email. But you can use the pre-header in conjunction with the subject line to give more information before the customer has even opened the email. So what this allows them to see what the email is about, and then in the pre-header, use it for giving more detail. So if we say an example of a travel company, you might say, flights from $200 and nothing else in the subject line. It might have a little aeroplane emoji. And then in the pre-header text, you might say, from Sydney, Brisbane, and Melbourne to Hong Kong, or something like that. And that will show up there, and they'll be able to see it. Now, if you imagine the impact that would have compared to having flights from $200, and then you had view this email online as the pre-header text. And I can't explain how often I've seen view this email online as the pre-header text. It's just crazy. So definitely use your pre-header text in conjunction with your email. So I'm quickly going to go back to this email for a second and just highlight why what we've done here in this email so what we've done in this email is there's not always a need to show that pre-header text. So even though it's there, we don't have to display it. And to go even a step further is you might want to display it or show it if you've got other content up there, such as your view online link at the top and it's in the same block. So you might show the before your logo at the very top. You might put your pre-header text on the left hand side, and then your view online link on the right hand side. It's a very effective way of doing it because at least it's top, first, and there, and it will be pulled through to the right place. But on a communication where you don't have the view online link at the top, and it's like this one is an onboarding email, so to guide people through the journey with your company, you don't necessarily need to show it. So what we've done here is we've stripped it out, and we've or not stripped it out, but we've visually hidden it. So it's there and it explains. So while the subject line was even a baby can learn from this, the pre-header explains that marketing live TV is is about real life marketing campaigns and implementation. So they know when they see it that it's from marketing live TV. It's about it. It should be an easy way for them to learn something, and the pre-header text guides them about what it is in that email. Great. So subject line pre-header. Now I did mention I'd talk quickly about emojis, and my personal experience says there's pros and cons to it, and you need to understand them. So if you're going to go down the path of emojis, there's some that work on more email clients than others. So I will I'll put a link in the bottom of the description to some emojis and where you can grab them from if you're wanting to add them into subject lines. But you do need to be aware that they don't work on all email clients, and some don't work on any. And the big but is the ones that do, they definitely work better in that when we've done a number of A/B tests to see if the subject line just with or without an emoji, you get an increased open rate. I wouldn't like to say 100% of the time, but a vast majority of the time we always get an open rate higher with an emoji. So so you just need to consider the placement of that. So does your subject line read well if it's got one in there? Is it going to distract if it doesn't show? And if it does show, does it look? Is it relevant to the email? So that's my soapbox on emojis. So all right, so we've gotten through a number of them, and we've been on air for half an hour. So we've gotten through 4. So I'm quickly gonna jump through a few of the others because I've kind of covered them off, but I will I'll do that quickly, and I will bring this up. Oops, sorry. Sorry, my email has been lost. There we go. All right. So going back to here. So number 5 for our emails is images. So making sure that you have images and that the content of those images is fully completed. So brief on choosing an image. Make sure that when choosing an image, it's not just a stock image that looks good. If you really want someone to do something with your email, pick an image that will invoke an emotion. So it might be a laugh, it might be a smile, it might be, oh, that's stupid, it might be, wow, that's amazing. Something, as long as it invokes an emotion. If it invokes an emotion, all of a sudden there's some connection with that emotion and your brand. And that, when choosing an image, that is critical for making sure that they open following emails. So yeah, so that's when choosing an email. A couple of just brief tips on email images and selection is double your image size. Double your image size, but keep your file size down. Yeah, go figure. Okay, so if you need a 600 pixel image for it to work in its largest form, that image should be 1200 pixels wide. The reason being in that Retina displays obviously have twice as many pixels or larger number of pixels, so therefore if you want to display that image in a high quality on devices that people have in their pocket nowadays, you need to increase the quality of the image, and the easiest way to do that is multiply the image size or dimensions, I should say. File size, keep it as low as possible. Again, 72% of people opening on mobile. What kind of connection do most people have when they're working on their mobiles? It's whatever is available via their phone service provider. So keep the file sizes down. It will load quickly. They'll be a good experience. and then yeah, good to go. In addition, just make sure when adding your images, you're adding alt text. So, and most people probably don't even know what that is, but alt text is the text that will display if someone can't download that image. So why this is important is some email clients, or people can choose to do this, is turn images off by default. Now, those that have low data downloads on their phone but are getting their work emails might do this. And what this does is it reduces their file download size or their downloads so that they don't have to then use up all their data. So if you don't add alt text, what will show is probably a little X in place of that image and nothing else. So they won't know. They might scroll through, and if you've got lo and behold an email that has only images, no one knows what your email's about. So make sure you add alt text for every image, and make sure that it describes what it is that image is trying to portray. So here, this, if I select this image, so the alt text on this image for the email that is here says watch, learn and engage on YouTube with Marketing Live TV. So basically that image, it doesn't describe the baby trying to work on a computer. Could do. Do I think that having that long of a description would be beneficial? Probably not, but for now, that alt text is better than not having any at all. At least people will understand what it is, even without downloading images, and then having copy in there as well. Right, so images, and so is number 5. So number 6 is personalization. Now, I almost want to stand up for this one, in that if you collect someone's name in your signups, you need to personalize their emails. You need to use their name. They're giving you that information. Otherwise, they would have just given you their email address. So, and I can't. Pretty much every email provider that sends email marketing campaigns, you can use their first name, last name, or any of the other data within either the subject line or the body of the email. Use it. Nothing is more powerful than when creating an email, initiating that one-to-one communication. So again, if we look here, we've started the email with hi, and for this particular email, that's their first name. Alright, so I'm gonna briefly move through a couple of the others, but the number 7 is calls to action. So if you send an email, you need to know what you want your customer to do. So make sure that you grab whatever it is, the purpose of you sending that email. So what is the purpose? Compile it and have an actionable item. It might be a phone number, it might be a click to call, it might be a link to a website to find out more, it might be simply a link to a article on whatever that you've sent them, it might be a link to a video, whatever it is. Make sure that you are clearly portraying what you want them to do when they read that email, and if they're interested in that, they'll perform that action. If they're not interested in it, don't get upset. It's fine. Not everything you put out there is for everyone. So if what you do is interesting, in that you need to provide an easy way for them to get in touch with you. So number 8 is links. Now, there's a number of reasons why you need to have links in your emails. And that could be, just simply getting people onto your website. But another really critical one is making sure that there's links to relevant pieces of content on your website for the sake of your email reputation. So if you send out purely emails that have no links, and all they do is say call us, what will happen is effectively the server will say, these people aren't doing anything once they open your email. So they're not engaging, therefore it will more than likely move those emails to another folder, likely being junk folder. So you need to make sure that your emails have links and that those links are well structured. Now again, I won't go into the coding, but making sure that there's titles, that they have, that whether or not they need to be opened in a new window. So for example, if someone's opening it Gmail online, does that link open in a new window, or do you want it to open in a completely new browser, or whatever it may be? So depending on your situation, whether you're behind a secure site or whatever it may be, leave those up to you, but make sure that your email has links, and links to a mixture of items. So view online links is one. You need to be careful of that one because it is, depending on your email client, it could be a static version or it could be their personalized version of the email, but then links to contact you, links to all that sort of stuff. So while we are at the bottom of this email, and I have kind of worked my way down, the footer. Now, we're basically we're in Australia, and in Australia there's laws that state that you must provide your company information on communications that come from your company. So if you use something like MailChimp or or any of the major email content provider email platforms, they'll generally try and enforce this. So it is good practice. You do want people, like if you are sending an email from a business, let them know who you are and let them know how to contact you. Make it easy. Like, that's the whole point. So yeah, in your footer, it's legally required that you put in your company details. In the footer, you can also add things like additional calls to action, menus, social icons or links, forward to a friend links, all of those sorts of things these, they don't get a lot of click-throughs, and having them there is better than not having them there. But whether I wouldn't go throwing your connect with us front and center on all of your emails, because it's not everyone has a social platform these days. Everyone has social icons. So moving on from those, the other thing that you need to always include is an easy way for a person to opt out of your database or your communications. It is a legal requirement, and there are hundreds of thousands of dollar fines. They've been updated recently, so I haven't read them in the last few months, but talking of hundreds of thousands of dollars if people cannot opt out of your emails. If you haven't got a clear way of identifying how they've opted in, whether they've subscribed, and if they've opted out, opting them out, you're setting yourself up for a big risk. So make sure that you include your company details, you only opt people in the right way, but you always include an unsubscribe or opt out option on your emails, and it needs to be fairly simple. It can't be just a description to say send us a special keyword and we'll consider opting you out within the next 30 days. It needs to be more specific than that. So moving on, the last part that I wanted to cover is something that is more of an advanced email tactic, and it's one of the ones that will absolutely increase your click-through rates if you do it right, and that is using dynamic content. So I will actually planning on doing a whole show on dynamic content, but just so that we can give you an understanding of what it is. Dynamic content is basically using the data that you have on your customers and serving them a different email layout, design, color, something or other, based on information that you know about them. So an example will be that if someone's been visiting your website and they've been browsing a particular product, so let's say a beauty store, and they've been browsing on moisturizers, and then someone else has been visiting your website and they've been browsing I picked beauty, and they've been browsing a cleanser for all intents and purposes. So in the next email that you send to them, the person that was looking at the moisturizers sees content relevant to moisturizers, and the person that was looking at cleansers sees content that's relevant to cleansers. So as you can imagine, if they're interested in purchasing these, the likelihood of getting them to click through and perform a sale is higher, as opposed to if you only served one of those to both of those people. So if we served the moisturizer example to the cleanser person went, oh, not looking for that, therefore won't do it. So dynamic content is really powerful. It does either take highly developed skills or it takes a more advanced email platform, but if you are getting to the point where you do want to really push the envelope, then that's where you will definitely get more bang for the same buck, effectively. So great. Well, that's basically a lot longer than what I was expecting. So apologies, but hopefully I've covered up in enough detail. This will form part of our onboarding program once that is fully functional. So we may or may not step through another couple of those, and we'll probably step through the actual onboarding program as we talk about marketing automation and things like that. So all good things to look forward to when we launch properly with Marketing Live TV in September. So make sure that if you've gotten through to this point, subscribe, because you are a winner. To watch nearly 50 minutes of TV, you've done well. So thank you very much, and please feel free to connect with us on these social channels, and we look forward to seeing you soon again on Marketing Live TV.